Jessie calling from Pennsylvania. Hello, Jessie.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, how are
Hi,
you?
Jessie.
I'm good, thank you. I've just, I'm watching your stream for the first time. I really like the title of the show. I got that talk about being chewed gum at Christian school too, and it was very, formative for me in a bad way.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Mine was the tape one. Have you heard that one? Where it's like when you put a piece of tape on one person's arm and you peel it off, and then you put it on another person's arm and you peel it off, and then you peel it, and then by the time you find your husband, the tape doesn't stick anymore. That was the one I got.
Yeah, you're all worn out and shit like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also remember being taught that condoms don't work and that HIV passes through condoms, and because of that, you should just wait until marriage and that kind of thing.
Oh my God. Traumatizing.
Yeah. So I was wondering, what does purity culture mean for you guys? Because I know it probably differs between people if you ask them what purity culture means and how they interact with that.
I think purity culture is prioritizing what they perceive to be purity above anything else. So, waiting to have sex before marriage. And I think it's the sort of biblical submission definition is the one that we talk about, where it's you are prioritizing the wants and needs of the head of the household. You are probably a little more traditional leaning. Being modest, that sort of thing. I don't know if you have any other things to add, Taylor.
No, that's about the gist.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my conception of it too. It's definitely easy to, if you walk away from a certain, form of Christianity, it's really easy to kind of, feel any kind of shame if you have any kind of desires or any attraction to people who are not biblically ordained or, that kind of thing. But I don't know, lately I've been kind of thinking that for some people I found that who, when they exit these strict, patriarchal Christian sort of sects, they, I don't want to say they overcorrect, but I think that for me, I've definitely felt pressure from, people to go out and have casual sex and, to be polyamorous. And I feel there is some pressure on people to, to be okay with doing casuals, to have casual sex and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe it's just my remaining vestiges of Catholic shame and or anything like that, but I don't really know where I was going with that. But I'm trying to reconcile what is left of my purity culture upbringing and what is actually my true kind of wants and needs from a partner. You get what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, and you can make that choice, and that choice is subject to change day by day, partner by partner, or potential partner by partner. The purpose of wanting to eliminate purity culture is because things like purity culture create a system of shame that takes away people's free, the irony is we were just talking about free will for so long, but it takes away people's freedom of choice because you are so inundated with shame that it's hard, it clouds your ability to actually know what you would want. And I totally understand why you feel there's pressure to have casual relationships and to take it very lightly. And I think I understand also the feeling of people are overcorrecting. And to some degree, I think you're right, because a really interesting example I think of this is, and I've said this on the show a handful of times, but so we can look at the places in the US that have comprehensive, medically accurate sex education. And those are the places where teens have sex later in life and they have fewer partners. So if you give people in their youth the whole truth, all of the information, they are more likely to make better choices. states that have abstinence-only education are the ones that have the highest rate of STIs, and they have the highest rate of teen pregnancies. They also are the states where many of the youth are having sex starting at 13 and 14 years old. So purity culture is and abstinence are sort of hand in hand. Like abstinence is a part of purity culture. And so when you make something really taboo, human beings, we love to break a rule. And so when you make something really taboo, we want to explore and we want to, it makes things way more enticing. And so I do think people probably overcorrect, which, if anything, is more evidence for why we need comprehensive sex education, open conversations about sexuality, and to not demonize it so people can make like level decisions and understand, like, maybe you are a person who's monogamous, maybe you're a person who's polyamorous, maybe you're a person who needs to feel an emotional connection before you have any sexual attraction to people. Like, there's a whole spectrum of belief that you'll have access to when you feel the effect of purity culture start to subside.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're right. Like, I know that I personally know that a lot of, well, not a lot, but quite a few of the people I went to like evangelical Protestant school with, they got pregnant before they were even able to graduate high school. And like, that's really tragic because like they weren't taught how to approach love and relationships, and they got stuck with a baby that they might not have wanted. And like, it's similar with everything. Like, that's a vice. Like, the reason why American drinking culture is so fucked up is because you can't drink till you're 21. People treat it like, it's this big mystical thing when it's really just something that people do. So yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. So I do think that most men probably don't deserve women. I think we should be abstinent for political reasons, but that's like a whole other conversation.
T. I don't disagree with you in some way, Jessie.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand why people are doing that, especially like, where were they doing that? That was like a really big
Korea
movement.
The 4B movement.
It was the 4B.
I totally understand it.
Yeah, for sure. And no, I was like reading about like, you guys have probably heard about the T app and how, it was like basically just, it was a whisper network essentially. And they, it's organized like doxing and stalking of women. And meanwhile, men, they organize like entire group chats to post revenge porn and post like AI porn. And, that's somehow okay with them, but whisper networks aren't. And I don't know. I've just been feeling very disillusioned lately with a lot of things.
That was the app, right, where they like posted pictures of men, like, have you dated this man or have you seen him or something, right? Or like talked to him?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
When I saw that, it's interesting because I think about the fact how Christianity a lot of times says gossiping is so wrong, and like women always struggle with gossiping and they shouldn't gossip. And I'm like, yeah, you say that because you benefit from women not gossiping, because if like, women talk to each other, they're going to find certain things out and, be informed. So yeah, it sucks to see that happening with that app though, and them actually going after people for that. It's disgusting.
Yeah. And Jessie, I will say, there's a book by Bell Hooks and it's called The Will to Change, and you can get the audiobook. It's not very long. And it might be something that could be helpful to you. It was helpful to me when I started to feel this way also, because ultimately, when we look at the whole like landscape of it, we're in a really tough spot right now because we as women have choices of like, we either get into like, fuck all the men and they don't deserve to have access to our time and our bodies and all of that, and kind of go the 4B movement route. And I think that women are perfectly capable of building community. We have always been pretty good at building communities with one another. I think that's kind of why men are in like this loneliness epidemic now. I think they were not socialized to build community the way that women are socialized to build community. And I think that women would be honestly fine. However, we would still have this group of men who feels so angry and so betrayed that they could potentially be dangerous. And I don't think it lends itself to the success of all of us. And so you don't have to take on the personal responsibility of doing this, but I think it will be important for people who have the time and space for it to also kind of like reach a hand down the ladder and pull up the men who are willing to be understanding and hear us out and contribute to a world where we all can feel safer. And those men do exist. I don't even think that they're that much of the minority, at least in the US. Maybe I'm wrong and maybe that's optimistic, but it's important to try and stay balanced to the best of your ability, because there are men who are wonderful and loving and want to create community without like over sexualizing women and enjoy the company of women. And, you know, those men do exist. So, you know, to the best of your ability, finding space for it where you can, finding softness in it where you can, might be helpful. And I also understand why you're feeling very like, F this.
Sure. And no, I think you're right. At the end of the day, I do just like want everyone to have a comfortable life and have meaningful relationships and to be better off than they are now. And, you know, I want better lives for women and men alike. I want better lives for everyone. Yeah, I will say I am a believer in God, and I do think that the light of Jesus is within all of us. And so I do believe that everybody has a right to happiness and a comfortable life. And I think that I think you're right with what you're saying.
Jessie, I also just wanted to add that something that felt really good to me as someone who's married, there were a lot of patriarchal norms I did not take part in. I didn't take my husband's last name. I didn't let someone give me away. There are a lot of things where I got to like build my relationship how I wanted that wasn't based on things like sexism or patriarchy. And that felt really good to not have to conform to those type of things. And I don't know, I feel like that's also something to consider when thinking about maybe future relationships or whatever, is it doesn't have to be that. If that's something that you don't believe in or don't think is good.
No, I believe that you can absolutely have a marriage based on egalitarianism. I'm not somebody who believes that like marriage is like a patriarchal construct or anything like that. I mean, it certainly can be, but I mean, I know, you know, lots of good guys out there, many in my family and many in my, you know, social circle. And so I definitely believe that, people are capable of healthy relationships no matter what gender they are. And you can definitely have those relationships outside of patriarchy.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely can. And you'll get closer and closer to finding what you're looking for the more that you kind of like unravel the things that are purity culture and not helpful to you, like things that are creating shame and doubt in your ability to make choices about like what makes you happy. And when you started the call, you were talking about how like sometimes you feel pressured to do like one thing or another. Like I said, make the choices that feel right to you. Always. Like you have no obligation to engage in like quote hookup culture. Like, you have no obligation to have, 50 partners before you get married. Like, you can do literally whatever you want, and you are still a person who is worthy of a loving relationship and a family and respect and all of those things. The thing that's really upsetting about purity culture is that it ties so much morality and moral value to our sexuality that doesn't need to be there. So letting go of that purity culture means you get to let go of some of that too.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. It's it's hard being an individual sometimes, especially with a conservative Christian background. I felt, when I left home, I did kind of feel at times that I was like thrust into this like totally unfamiliar world. And it just takes time to navigate. But I think I'm doing pretty good at managing myself, for sure.
Okay, great. That makes me so happy. And if you ever feel like you need to talk things like this through, you can always call us and ask questions as things pop up. Like, our lines are always open every Tuesday. And unraveling from purity culture, whether you're a theist or not, is challenging. And a lot of people identify with that in our chat and for people who are listening. So those conversations are always welcomed here.
For sure. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciated talking to you guys. And I can't believe Anthony was single. I hope he finds a lady someday who will teach him how to be a better person.
Girl, you and I both. Thank you, Jessie, for calling. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Jessie.
I love it.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. Did you know we saw what you were doing when you watched it?
We saw all of it. All of it. All of it.
So you're going to want to pay us hush money over at patreon.com/calltheline, where you can buy our silence and watch our patron exclusive podcast.